like at your schoolyard or any property nearby, these are there. They're going to be almost anywhere where you can possibly think they would be. But there's a couple of neat things about it, and I'll pass this around. I want to escape too if you want to take a look at it. And if anybody wants to hold it and have a really fun experience, I'll let y'all do that. But they're really pretty salamanders. They've got that black dorsal pattern, black back color to them with some white flecking, some kind of brassy flecking. This one, I don't know what's going on, is a little more like yellow flecked, it looks like, than white. But most of the time, it's kind of like salt and pepper type color to them. But they're called slimy salamanders because this is why I say if you want us to hold it, you can experience it in a minute. They have glands at the base of their tail that secrete basically like rubber cement is essentially the makeup of it. And it's a polysaccharide goo, kind of like snot. It's really similar actually in composition to human snot. And that's there because if you're a raccoon or something and you see that and you think, oh, what a great meal, you pop it in your mouth and then you have rubber cement in your mouth, you're going to spit it out. So it's a predator defense. The other kind of neat thing too that's a really good point to kind of tell to students, especially more advanced students, is this species was originally described in the 1800s. So we really didn't know anything about genetics at that time period, how to sample DNA, that type of thing. So the guy who described them went around the country, the eastern half of the country, and found that everywhere from like Texas to Louisiana all the way up to upstate New York, those salamanders look just like that when you find them. So he said, well, it's got to be the same thing. We're going to call it the slimy salamander. A guy came along back, I've got a leech on me, I think. Oh no, it's just poop. Anyway, the guy came along in the late 80s, early 90s, and actually did a genetic study and found that that one species that ranged from like New York down to Texas is actually 14. And we didn't know about it because the genetics are all different, but they all look the same. And the reason why we couldn't see that is salamanders communicate mostly chemically through pheromones. So they don't look at each other. There's no like selection pressure to force them different directions in terms of how they look. So there's all this diversity that we just can't see until you start looking at their genetics. And we found out recently, I did a study with some folks down in Georgia, but not so much here, but down in the coastal plain, as you get closer to where the hurricane is hitting right now. Down there, the history of human agriculture has actually shaped the genetics of those salamanders because they can't move across agricultural fields. That's why we didn't see too many over here, as this is an old field. So that history of agriculture there has fragmented the populations. They can't exchange genes, so now they're on this different genetic trajectory, which is kind of cool.